The Supreme Court has dealt a massive blow to individuals voting by mail in Wisconsin. They have ruled to reject mail-in ballots sent to election officials on or just before Election Day. So the Supreme Court sided with Republicans in Wisconsin, ruling 5-3 along ideological lines that Wisconsin can count only those absentee ballots that arrive by Election Day, even if they were mailed days earlier. Since first-class mail has been taking an average of 10 days to be delivered in the state, Wisconsin's Democratic Party urged mail-in Democrats to hand-deliver their absentee ballots or vote in person. The court's 5-3 ruling means that absentee ballots will be counted only if they are in the hands of municipal clerks by the time polls close on November 3rd. So this is definitely a blow to voters in the state of Wisconsin, and the reasoning for this decision that's been given by the conservative justices is just absolute nonsense. The argument here is that the state's legislators are the ones who get to decide what the election rules are, and even if the case goes to federal judges don't get to supersede or be the ultimate arbiters of what is and is not constitutional in that state when it comes to their voting rights or when it comes to their voting laws. So in the statement by the conservative justices, including Justice Neil Gorsuch, here's what you can read from their decision. Gorsuch writes, "The Constitution provides that state legislators, not federal judges, not state judges, not state governors, nor other state officials bear primary responsibility for setting election rules." And Kavanaugh's reasoning also makes no sense, which by the way makes this abundantly clear that now the Supreme Court has become part of Donald Trump's campaign. Here's what Kavanaugh wrote in his decision. "Those states want to avoid the chaos and suspicions of impropriety that can ensue if thousands of absentee ballots flow in after Election Day and potentially flip the results of an election. And those states also want to be able to definitively announce the results of the election on election night or as soon as possible thereafter." But as Justice Elena Kagan perfectly stated, well, there are no official election results until all the votes are counted. So it doesn't matter if it appears as though Trump is leading on election night. What matters is that all the ballots are counted and that decision or the outcome of the election is announced only after all the ballots are counted. And Kavanaugh, just to be clear, is just regurgitating a similar line that we heard from Donald Trump today. Watch.
It would be very, very proper and very nice if a winner were declared on November 3rd instead of counting ballots for 2 weeks, which is totally inappropriate. And I don't believe that that's by our laws. I don't believe that. So we'll see what happens.
So Cenk, Kavanaugh is listening to his daddy and making decisions that would appeal to him, like basically forcing the state of Wisconsin to announce the results of the election on election night, even if all the ballots haven't been counted yet.
So there are gradations here. So the Supreme Court ruled that Wisconsin's law saying that they must receive it by election day. Your vote, your ballot by election day stands. Now, earlier courts had ruled because of coronavirus and because in Wisconsin, they already changed the rules in the primary and allowed for them to receive ballots that were postmarked by election day. So they absolutely positively had to vote by election day, but the mail comes in later. And by the way, remember, they slowed down the mail, and that was also on purpose. So in states like Wisconsin, even if you voted by election day, because of the law that they have in place, if the post office can slow down the mail enough, they're never gonna get your vote. They're never gonna get your ballot. And here, the Supreme Court has ruled, we will not count it, even if you voted before the election, if we receive it after the election. But it is Wisconsin law. Now, courts had overturned that. Now the Supreme Court says, no, you're not allowed to overturn that. Now, there's good points to make on both sides. Obviously, I would have voted on the side of counting all ballots before election day, okay? And because of the particular circumstances in this case. But I can see how you could make the other argument. I don't agree with it. But what Trump said is totally different. He didn't say, hey, if it's postmarked or not postmarked. He said, we should stop counting on November 3rd. And all the states, no matter when they got in, no matter what the laws are, no matter if they're legal or not legal, I don't care. And that means millions upon millions of votes would not be counted if Trump had his way, because he thinks most of those votes are going to go to Biden. Again, it's not an exaggeration to say that a dictator says, count the votes for me, do not count the votes for my opponent. That's not a democracy. There's no one that can make the argument that when you don't count votes for your opponent, it's still a democracy. No, that's what Saddam Hussein used to do. And so now here's the most concerning part of what Kavanaugh said. So again, I'll give you the first sentence one more time. He said, those states want to avoid the chaos and suspicions of impropriety that can ensue if thousands of absentee ballots flow in after election day and potentially flip the results of an election. Anna's right, Kagan's right. How do you know if you're flipping an election if you never counted all the votes? But he mentioned election day. Wait a minute, do you mean Wisconsin or do you mean in general? He goes on to say the next sentence is, and those states also want to be able to definitively announce the results of the election on election night or as soon as possible thereafter. No, wait, there's no law, there's no national law. And certainly now he's talking about more states. You were ruling on a specific Wisconsin case. But if you're talking about states in general calling it on election night, there is no such law. So I don't know why you're injecting your political opinion about, I don't want to count the Biden votes after election night into a Supreme Court decision. Now that is super dangerous.
Yep.
That's basically saying we might just decide there aren't laws anymore and we're not a democracy and we're just not going to count millions of votes and we're just going to declare Trump the winner, in which case they will literally end America as we know it. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, we really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.